Hello everyone, and welcome to my next Beatles video, continuing to show my American/Canadian collection. Okay, so we're going to start off with Beatles 65. Now, ironically, I think this was released in 1964 rather than 1965. But anyway, this is my mono copy of Beatles 65 in the what I believe to be the original shrink wrap, which is nice. And here's the back. Yep, this is a mono copy. And here's the track listing. Now, side 1 is basically just side 1 of Beatles for Sale, except it hasn't got Kansas City on the end of side 1. And side 2, it's a bit of a mixed bunch, to be honest, because it's got 2 songs from Beatles for Sale, and those are Honey Don't and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. It's got I Feel Fine, and the B-side, She's a Woman. And it's also got the last song that hasn't been used from A Hard Day's Night on any American album, and that's I'll Be Back. But a pretty good track listing. And this advertises some of the Capitol albums down there, and a few other things. And here is the nice rainbow Capitol label. Side 2 as well. Okay, so the next album I've got to show is a 1969 pressing of this album, and it's in stereo. This particular copy, for some reason, has this little picture of Paul McCartney in. Unfortunately, it's not signed by Paul McCartney or anything, but that's a nice little bonus feature, if you like. Somebody's obviously had that in the 60s. Here's the back of it. Paul McCartney MBE says at the bottom there, so this is obviously from after he was given his knighthood. So this has the 1969 green Target label, and I do really like this label actually. I like the little purple C up there, and just the general kind of lime green colour. I don't think this label was around for too long. And finally, for Beatles 65, I've got a purple label pressing. And here's the purple label. Nothing particularly special about this one, just a later copy. Now, this is my one and only copy of the early Beatles, and I believe it's an original stereo, released in 1965. Now, really, the early Beatles is pretty much just introducing the Beatles, except obviously it's on Capitol. I think Capitol had gotten the rights by this point to those early songs which VJ had before. And here's the advertising sleeve that comes with it. Sort of like a, I don't know, dark yellow and olive colour. And here's the nice stereo label. Now, on to Beatles 6, which is definitely one of my favourite American albums by the Beatles. Now, first of all, I've got this original mono here. And you can tell that it's an early copy because on the track listing, on the back of the cover, it says C label for correct playing order at the top, because this isn't the correct track listing in terms of like the order. This is not the correct order of the tracks. But anyway, as far as the tracks go, it is more or less just a mixture of Help and Beatles for Sale. With the B-side, yes it is, there, and also Bad Boy, which hadn't actually been released in the UK yet. and it would be released for the first time on a collection of Beatles oldies in 1966. So the USA actually got that song before the UK did. And here's the label. Somebody's written in a colour band up there. Woodman, I think it says. And there's side 2. So a very good album this, very good indeed. And here is a stereo copy, which is also an original, I believe. And that also has C label for correct playing order on the back of the sleeve. And this copy also comes with a nice olive coloured sleeve there. And here's the original stereo label. I'm just going to ask you to look at the rim text at the bottom here, because that'll be important in a second. Okay, and side 2. Now this copy of Beatles 6 is the second pressing, so I think this came out sort of 1968, I believe. And if you look on the back of this cover, it doesn't have C label for correct playing order, because that mistake's been rectified now. So it's now got the proper playing order there. Now on this second copy here, if you take a look at the perimeter text, it's had a bit added to it, so that it now has a subsidiary of Capitol Industries Inc. added in there, and that shows you that it's a slightly later pressing. And it's the same on both sides, with that extra bit of the perimeter text in there. And I've got to say, this particular copy has to be one of the best sounding Beatles records in my entire collection. It sounds astonishingly good in stereo. Okay, the next one is an orange label copy, which I just got about a week or two ago. So this is a pretty recent edition, and it's in very nice condition as well, front and back. Yeah, sorry, this is not an orange label copy at all. It's an Apple copy. Sorry, so this is an Apple label. So this would have been, I believe, early 70s. Correct me if I'm wrong. So nice Apple label. And there's the back. Now I know for some American Beatles albums you can get lots of different variants of the Apple label, and this particular one has the Capitol logo in the perimeter text, which I know isn't on all variations of this. And here is the soundtrack to the Beatles film Help, which came out in 1965 as well. Now this is actually quite different to the UK version. Rather like the American version of A Hard Day's Night, it is literally more of a soundtrack rather than an album. So here is my mono copy. And here's the back of the sleeve, which is nice and colourful with this great photo here. Once again, some advertising at the bottom. And here is just some credits, and the track listing is right the way down here. It's got quite a few instrumental tracks on here. In fact, about half the album's instrumental, I think. So, not too many actual songs. I think the only songs you get are Help, The Night Before. You've got the Hide Your Love Away, I Need You, Another Girl, Dare Ticket to Ride, and You're Gonna Lose That Girl. So, about half an album's worth of songs and about half an album's worth of instrumentals. And something else I like about this version of the album is the gatefold sleeve, which obviously you don't get on the UK version, but you do get on the US version. So here it is, with lots of nice pictures from the film, and a good amount of text to read as well. So, very interesting. And here is the Rainbow Capitol label for the album. Side 2 as well. Now, there is a feature of this copy which tells you that it's a first person, and that can be found on the instrumental tracks. So, if you look at the bottom one, in the tie roll, the composer Ken Thorne isn't actually credited on the label for some reason. And it's the same for two other instrumental tracks on side 2, and those are the Bitter End, track 4, and the Chase, track 6. Now, interestingly, after the Bitter End, there is literally just a blank line as well, as you can see, before You're Gonna Lose That Girl, and that shows you that it's an early pressing. And finally, I've got an orange label stereo pressing of this album. So this will be from the 70s. And here's the label. Interestingly, this copy has a groove in, and I'm not too sure why, so if anyone knows, I would be very grateful if you could tell me in the comment section. I would be very grateful if you could. Now, as you can see, for the instrumental tracks, obviously, this would have been corrected a long time ago, but Ken Thorne's now credited for those, so that's good for him. And here's side 2 as well. And I believe this is a West Coast copy, as you can see by the little star where the light is there. I think that means it's a West Coast copy. So if that's any help in telling me why there's a groove in, I've got no idea. So alright, so that's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And just before I go, I'd like to say a big thank you to people who have been helping me on my 2 previous American videos, just by correcting me on things or just giving me extra bits of information to help me along. So I am very grateful for that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.